It is no surprise that Bart's life is going to amount to nothing. Not only does he have daddy issues, but he also has mommy issues, sister issues, and unresolved psychological trauma from years of getting choked by his father. But maybe there is a glimmer of hope in Bart's sad, pathetic life. The family decides to do a little experiment and appear on the couch in rotoscope animation. This style of animation is completely different from what the family is used to, and it doesn't take long for everyone to start whining and complaining. So, Lisa has to shut down the experiment and declare it a failure. The Simpsons have decided to recreate the movie Boyhood, and who is a better candidate for the main role than Bart Simpson himself? A young Bart lays on the grass with his father. He tries asking philosophical questions, but Homer's responses are completely uninspired and a little refreshing, because at least he isn't trying to be pretentious. But then Homer wants to ask his young son a very important question. Why did he leave his toys on the front step? Because it looks like Homer is only on the ground because he has broken his legs and can't get back up.
Why did you leave your toy car on the stairs?
Homer is gravely injured because of Bart, so now the young boy has to stay with his grandfather while Homer recovers from his injuries. Bart finally got a break from his dumb father, and he is looking to spend some quality time with his grandfather, who loves him in a very different manner. Grandpa Abe has no regard for Bart's safety and introduces his prized car to the young boy. Now Bart can experience reckless parenting, but he seems to enjoy it because his grandfather lets him drive the car and do whatever he wants. Seeing Bart take charge makes Abe believe that the boy has a lot of gumption. It looks like only Grandfather Abe truly sees the potential in Bart's active attitude. Soon the years pass and Bart is back home and driving around with his grandfather. Now that Bart is a little older, he should be able to read, but the boy fails to show any signs of intelligence, even though his baby sister Lisa is already reading and seems much smarter. Bart is starting to get annoyed by all the praise Lisa is getting. Everyone likes her better. Even Marge prefers Lisa's drawings over Bart's handiwork. The boy tries to show his art skills to his parents as well, but he only ends up making the kitchen look like a cheap art show. But Marge can tell that Bart wants to hear some praise, and she urges Homer to swallow his pride and say something positive for once. Homer tries his best, but fails, and ends up giving more emotional damage to Bart.
Well, it's a colorful example of something that ruined our kitchen!
It is clear that Homer does not like how much trouble Bart is, and Bart himself is upset how much his parents hate him. Later on, Homer manages to paint over the kitchen, and it actually looks better than before. But his hard work is ruined by Bart smashing the family car into the kitchen and destroying everything. This is the last straw for Homer and Marge, so they decide to go to a psychologist for some help. The psychologist probably charged them a lot to say the most obvious things. She believes that Bart's disruptive behavior is caused by Homer's neglect, and the only way to rectify the situation is a forced camping trip where Bart and Homer can't even get away from each other. Homer is not too keen on the idea, but the psychologist is a little too persistent, and the man has no choice. Soon, Bart and Homer
Good luck with that.
Take him camping!
I do want to help him, I do.
are off on their binding trip. Bart seems super excited, and he has packed all manner of things for the trip, but Homer ends up being another disappointment. Instead of taking his son to the actual woods, he decides that Bart will be content with camping out at a motel, even though Bart is disappointed. Homer tries to cheer up his son, but they spend most of the time in the room, where Homer watches TV and ignores his son, while Bart plays alone with his camping gear. It is definitely a depressing sight. Later on, the father and son return back, and Bart pretends that he had a good time on his camping trip. Lisa then shares the Student of the Month sticker she received from her teachers, and now Bart is even more upset. He feels neglected and storms off. Homer thinks this a prime opportunity to grab Bart's cake, but Marge has to remind her husband that he needs to be a responsible adult, and Homer ends up trying to comfort Bart.
Taking his dessert?
Yes, I am. Up to him.
Bart is sulking in his room when Homer shows up with a half-eaten dessert. Homer tells Bart that he will eventually enjoy having a sister, but Bart knows that his parents will always like the overachiever better than his sorry ass. But he wants Homer to prove his sincerity by putting up a sticker Bart made for the family car. The following morning, Bart can see Homer deciding whether he should put up the ugly sticker Bart gave to him, but in the end, he decides to discard the thing entirely. Once again, Bart is gutted by his father's actions. A couple of more years pass and Bart is now 12 years old. His family holds a small celebration, but Bart is disappointed by the cake. His parents still think he is a kid and don't treat him any better. Before Bart can even cut the cake, Lisa interrupts everyone by announcing that she has been Student of the Month for 48 consecutive months. This is the last straw for Bart, and he storms off once more.
No, this is fine. Just let me fix this.
Homer makes a half-assed attempt at stopping Bart, but the boy ends up spending the entire night taking out all the streetlights with Milhouse. Unfortunately, Bart and Milhouse get caught by the police, but only Milhouse gets arrested, because Bart is smart enough to hide in his grandfather's room in the senior home. Bart watches Milhouse experience police brutality, but none of the matters, because Bart receives a dirt bike from his grandfather, a present that he actually likes. A few more years pass, and now Bart is 15 years old. He has become more skilled at doing tricks with the bike, but all the praise still goes to Lisa. Apparently, Lisa is off to a pre-medical summer camp, and Marge and Homer are fussing over her more. But Marge still wants Homer to pay attention to Bart, even though the edgy teenager has no intention of getting comforted by his father. Homer spends a grand total of 5 seconds speaking to Bart, and then heads over to Moe's Tavern.
So, I'll go to Moe's while you sort it out, huh?
With Homer gone, Bart can finally throw a party at his house, and soon his house is just a set for a generic teenage party. There are people drinking and dancing, and Bart even makes out with Sherry, but he realizes that he has been sucking the face of the wrong twin. Bart quickly escapes, but notices the smell of weed coming from his room. Bart rushes towards the door to bust the idiots who are smoking indoors, but he finds something even more disturbing inside. Homer and the police chief are both high as hell, and for once the responsible one is Bart himself.
You're here too?
Yeah, must be weird for you.
Bart confronts his father for never being in sync with his own son, and for the first time, Homer is honest as well. He tells Bart that he became a father when he was young and feels exactly like Bart. He did not know how to take on this responsibility and only wanted his family to love and admire him. Homer's honesty is refreshing, and even Bart is moved. The father and son end up hugging each other, but Homer finds a way to ruin this moment by insulting Bart and his lack of a promising future. Bart storms off for the third time, and this time he goes to his grandfather's grave for some advice. Even in death, Grandpa Abe keeps yapping, but his main advice to Bart is that he should find what he loves and follow it until he becomes successful. These words are exactly what Bart needed to hear. And soon, Bart is taking part in the BMX dirt bike competition. Bart is excited for the competition because he is in the lead, and he only requires one more victory to win the tournament. Bart arrives on the ramp determined to have a victory for himself. His stunt seems to be going smoothly at first, but then Bart notices Lisa's shadow on the ramp, and his entire victory falls apart.
Doing it. Finally, I'm me. Finally, out of Lisa's shadow.
Lisa ends up reviving Bart, and now the entire tournament is all of a sudden centered around Lisa. Bart has never felt more miserable in his life. A couple of more years pass, and now Bart is older, but he spends his time painting on the pier for money. Milhouse is about to graduate high school, and he wants Bart to join his graduation party. Even though Bart is embarrassed, he still makes an appearance, which makes Milhouse glad. But the party quickly turns awkward when Milhouse's parents start bickering in front of everyone. This embarrassment causes Milhouse to feel even more pathetic, but Lisa cheers him up and even gives him a kiss. Milhouse completely forgets the bro code and starts praising Lisa. Bart is not pleased by the endless Lisa glazing. He is sick of everyone, even his friends, constantly turning their attention towards Lisa.
I'm not even the best Simpson at my best friend's party.
Bart's meltdown causes Lisa to lose her shit as well, and she finally tells her brother that he has a lot of talents as well. He is just too lazy to actually work on those skills. Lisa believes that if Bart stopped whining and actually worked on his skills, maybe he could achieve something. This is the type of reality check that Bart really needed in life. And instead of being angry at Lisa, Bart decides to take her advice. A few more years pass, and Bart is now the owner of a BMX bike store. He also does art and is very successful in his profession. Bart then learns that Lisa and Nelson are dating, but when Lisa visits Bart's store, she is disappointed to see the lack of her presence in any of his art. Bart doesn't try to comfort Lisa, but offers to buy her a drink. Before leaving, Lisa notices the graffiti Bart made of her, and it looks like the two siblings ended up sharing a beautiful bond after all.
You weren't supposed to see.
Well, I'm glad I did.
This was an episode full of emotion, very touching, just like the time we see what would have happened if Bart didn't exist. So if you want to know what happens, click on this video next, but not before you smash those like and subscribe buttons.